Hey, David here, and welcome to My Extra Mile, Conversations with Davidtswood. And I'm just here in the home gym about to work out, and I thought I'd let you know about today's show. Powerful woman, just an incredible conversation. And she gave me goosebumps at least on 3 or 4 occasions, and you'll hear me reference that in the show. And she also taught the 4 most powerful words in the English language. So listen for that. If you can help out the show, please subscribe and hit the like button. That really changes the algorithms, and join the conversation. You know, write your comments, give feedback, what's working, what's not working. I'm open to everything. Every single week we want to get better and improve and deliver more content in a beautiful way. So again, please understand this is the show for you, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. I do want to acknowledge our comment winner, Louise Lance. Louise, you've commented so often on my Facebook and my Instagram, and so thank you for that. Louise wrote a comment in reference to Beth Hanaszewski, the relationship expert, #1 love hack. It's just the show. You can find it above. She says, I'm excited to ask those questions, she said, and work on my own relationships to see how I can improve myself for others and also ask for the things I want. So Louise, congratulations. Enjoy the show with the incomparable, the amazing Cathy Savage. I want to welcome the incredible Cathy Savage. Cathy.
Hello. Hi, David. How are you?
Great. And I just want to mention, everyone, we're recording this during COVID, and we're not going to talk about it too much, but if we do bring it up, we want you to, if this is a timeless piece, if COVID's already gone, there's probably another obstacle in front of you somewhere. Just use the same principles toward that, and also excuse the sound quality because, we're doing this through Zoom, and if the sound is bugging you a little bit, focus on the content because it's going to be awesome. So Cathy, I know that one of the things you were just saying to me is that, the hardest thing about this whole thing, not a lot's changed for you, but just for the teenagers, is that because this is a pinnacle time in their lives, how are you coping as a mom during this?
Oh, David, thank you. And thank you for all those nice words. I think if you are a mom and you're listening to this, you know exactly where I'm at. Whether they're little or big, it's hard. And I keep saying I am momming so hard these days. For me, as with 2 teenagers, it's especially hard, especially when my son is a senior. So he's missing out on those once-in-a-lifetime rite of passage moments like graduation ceremonies and prom. But we're getting through it, and we are a family that has dedicated our life to philanthropy and service. So we have shifted into absolute service mode. We're doing some big things to help other people. And as a result, it's making our day a little better. And we're trying not to focus so much on what we don't have, but things that we can contribute to.
That's so cool because, really anyone who understands the principles we're about to talk about, and we don't know what they are yet because we haven't discussed them. We're going to see, because this is conversation. But anyone who understands that when we're contributing to others, it's impossible to focus on anything that's a problem. So that's why giving and contribution plays such an important role. I want to, before we get into, I want to talk to you about something I know that you're really passionate about. I want to just sort of get a little bit of a read. Before you entered the world of network marketing, and this profession that I'm in love with, you're in love with so much. Give us a little look into life before network marketing. What was it like?
Life before network marketing was pretty great. I had graduated from Boston College in 1985, worked in corporate America, did a lot of marketing, did a lot of medical, all those wonderful opportunities, but found pretty quickly that I wanted to have my own business. And I always loved fitness and jumped straight into it and created a business out of my love and my passion for fitness. I did not have a playbook. I did not know what I was doing, but I just started with absolute conviction of purpose, and I created the first ever online fitness company of its own, of its kind, and was doing that for 30 years, was really blessed with wonderful clients, and it led to a lot of television work and magazine contributing, and I was pretty happy. I had no idea what network marketing was when it was first brought up to me, And it just opened up a whole world that didn't even know existed, to be honest. So I was very busy burning the candle at both ends before network marketing came to me.
Yeah. And, the whole, I've been to large events with you there, and I always listen for this because it's so interesting to how people impact, we've been to events together where there's 15,000 people, and when your name's mentioned, the roar that goes up because of the impact you've had. But also some of the women that I know personally that came to you and have sort of, the way, I suppose the name, is it the Savage Girls? Is that what they're known as?
Yeah, they were always the Savage Girl. And as I got older, I kind of changed it to the Savage Sisterhood, only because
I like that.
Yeah, we changed that about a decade ago. And I'm glad we did. But, some of them still call themselves Savage Girls. But it's really just a community of women who just love health, love life, love fitness, love goals. And we're just a little club of women who love to spend time with each other.
Yeah. So you transitioned into network marketing. What attracted you specifically? You already had an online business. You were you had your own brand. And I always love talking to people who have a brand already because, you're sort of moving out of one brand that you built over 30 years into this whole arena that's new to you. What was the attraction? What sort of lured you in?
Oh, that's such a great question, because I think people often have the wrong impression of network marketing. I didn't have any impression whatsoever, so it wasn't something that I had to be convinced about, but I did know that it wasn't something I jumped into right away. In fact, I said no for a year, but my client was the one who turned me on to it. And what I saw through her transformation, I just got to a point where I couldn't deny it. And so I was really intrigued by the product experience first, not really needing or understanding the idea of a financial opportunity. So I was a product lover, became a raving customer. It was everything that I wanted in my own brand or blend, if you will, that I was going to try to put together, but realized I couldn't control the ingredients. So this was something that came to me as just the quality and the validation of the success rate of the product. So that was my introduction. Knowing that there was an opportunity came almost secondary to me. I didn't really understand it at first, but once I did, I couldn't turn away. And I couldn't believe that more people didn't know about it. That was what I always said. How can I have not known about this? Yeah. So I had a very childlike awe to all of it. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is so awesome. It was that for me. I really didn't come in with a lot of skepticism.
I'm getting goosebumps because it's like, what a perfect find for the person that spoke to you. But, you're a businesswoman who's, really, you're a pioneer in the field of online training. And here you are as a real business person. It's easy for someone who's really can look through a business lens to see this and say, oh my goodness, hold on a sec. Like you said, if you were attempting to create the same nutritional packages for it would have been a full-time job, and you'd never have been able to create the kind of nutrition that we both share. You and I both are in love with these products. And I would say, well, for me, I can say that, I take them all over the world with me because I believe in them so much. And that's what you had. You had this, you said, what did you say? You were a raving customer, right? Is that what you called it?
I was a raving customer, a fan, if you will, because I'm a nutrition geek and I'm a ninja. I really demand high quality protocols. And and I'm very thorough with my due diligence of looking into something. And because I did have a brand, I had to make sure that this wasn't something that would hurt my brand. I had never really endorsed a product, had tons of offers, but I had never really endorsed a product before. So this was a first time for me. And I think people took notice of that because they said, God, she usually hates everything. I can't believe she likes this. So, it was just kind of like a wow factor for me. And I fell in love with not only the culture, but just the idea of a level playing field, that no matter who you were, you had an opportunity. And that was one of the first things I observed.
I loved it. Let's talk about that transition. So, okay, raving customer, just saying, hold on, there's a real business here. And of course, being already busy and having kids and having a family and life and all the contribution work you do and how did you sort of navigate initially? Oh my gosh, something else. And if I'm going to put my energy, why did you choose this particular, obviously you were in love with the product, but to take on another business, because this is a real business. How was that? Was that hard in the beginning or?
Yes, it was very hard because of time management. And I was very, very busy with my company. My husband at the time was traveling a lot, and I had these two little ones. And that was 9 years ago. My goodness, 9 years ago. So it was a lot. But what I learned that if I just followed an easy system, which is, I think it's kind of the middle name of most network marketing companies, you have a system. I didn't really have to focus on the things that that may have tied me up had it been another type of business that I brought on. I mean, I know a lot of people bring in different types and styles of businesses to enhance whatever they have. What attracted me was I didn't have to ship. I didn't have to do all the things that I would normally have to do had I brought in a different model of product and distribution. Yeah. So right away, I was told that all I had to do was really be a raving fan, share it, and I would be kind of aligning myself. So I was always looking for product alignment, and every good business person should. You need to have a product that you can align with, both spiritually, business-wise, emotionally. So I looked at it as a product alignment, not another business that I would have to run. And that intrigued me. And I think a lot of people look at network marketing as if they're taking on so much, when in reality, it's just such a simplified model where you are just aligning with another company. That's what I love so much about it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, again, the way you described it too, because so many people make that, or they don't really understand what they got in their hands. That's why they don't treat it like a real business, because there's not a big financial outlay. And, you don't really, even though you've got this beautiful back office, you have all of these things done for you. I think sometimes it can make people lazy, right? Or just not appreciate what they really have. Zero limit on income, a global opportunity, and it just feels like, well, what changed? It doesn't feel like a lot changed unless you really approach it with business eyes, right?
It is so true. And I talk about this a lot with people who perhaps want to explore other revenue streams, like starting a business or opening a studio. And I always say to them, good Lord, if you only knew how much work and sweat equity it takes to have employees, to have all the other costs that come with a traditional business, this is a no-brainer, because you are able to really do the best part of the business, of any business, which is connecting and engaging. And you don't have to get wrapped up in the other parts of a traditional business as a business owner. So I truly believe this is a gateway into entrepreneurship, and it eliminates a lot of the hassles that another type of business would give you.
Yeah. Because to give context, I don't know the answer to this question. Your combined earning, you've been 9 years in the profession. Do you know your combined earnings, just to give someone listening some kind of, because they may not know you, or?
Combined earnings between both?
No, just your network marketing business.
How much have I made?
Yeah, totally.
I've made over $5 million.
Is that crazy? When you think about it, again, this was yours, because you still run your other business, right?
Yes, so you got it. I look at myself as a very part-time network marketer, because I have to run this other facility. However, I'm becoming more and more in love with the idea of making this more of a full-time gig. I'm 56, and I see myself really just getting more and more immersed into this beautiful.
I got goosebumps, guys. I love someone when they say I've been part-time for 9 years. And the fact that now 5 million, I don't want anyone who's just listening for the first time to understand, you work bloody hard in your part-time, and you talk about time management, just to give some credence to that 5 million. I mean, how many conversations do you think you've had in the last 9 years?
Well, in the thousands. Absolutely, with the multiple thousands. When I see a good thing, I run with it, no matter what it is, whether it's a restaurant or a deal or anything. And I looked at this as a gateway or a pathway for my family to have more freedom, more flexibility, and not just my family, but others. So my part-time might be someone else's full-time, but I always say my results aren't typical, but neither is my work ethic. And so my work ethic is pretty darn amazing. I will say that.
Well, no, but listen, you should say it. And that's what I love about you. It's like, listen, that's why I called you a badass, because that's a badass attitude. It's like, if you're going to do it, like this, you could do anything half-assed. But if you're going to be, I was talking to Jen Pax the other day. She's talking about, part-time money, full-time money, or gangster money. Right? And she happens to have earned gangster money, but her work ethic's the same as yours. It's like she has that gangster money because she does what you do. Okay, let's just talk about, because I really want to get to you love talking about belief, and so do I. And it's such a critical element. Were you did you believe right away? Did you struggle with belief? Was it something when you stepped in, you already made a decision coming in, so you came in with belief? Or what were those early struggles? What did you struggle with in those early, years, especially part-time?
Yeah, well, I truly believe belief has a sound. Belief has a sound. You hear it when you know it when you hear it. And when it is so deafening to you that you don't question anything anymore, I feel like that is when people's businesses in network marketing take off. When they hear belief, because I truly believe it has a sound. For me, I wasn't sure, but I was ready to give it a go because the people that were involved, I loved and trusted. I think that's important. And I believed in them. And what is so wonderful about the whole concept of belief is that it isn't something you turn on and turn off. It's like a river. It flows. And there are moments in my past 9 years where my belief, I thought it was a 10, and then it gets bigger, especially recently. When I'm impressed by the character and the conduct and the behavior of the company that I am aligned with, my belief just goes through the roof. So I feel like it's an evolving thing. I've never not believed, but it's a temperature that keeps growing every single time I'm a part of this and hearing stories. And I can say that for a lot of people who are just so in love with their companies. I'm sure they feel the same exact way, that it's like a river and it just keeps growing.
I love, when you said, it's a sound, the thing that went through my head was the word certainty, because there's that sound. When you look at someone who's certain, it's such a sexy thing. And that's that sound for me. So I actually came up with a word and I loved your description. I got goosebumps again when you talk about that, because it's so, people don't understand it. Adversity, it's like, if you go through adversity in a marriage or in a friendship or a business, and right now, the company you're aligned with and I'm aligned with, so they've gone through some tough times, and thank goodness, because that's where all great things happen. And that's, I think, what you're talking about, alluding to, is now witnessing, a company go through and navigate hard times with such integrity and discipline and truth. Transparency. I mean, you look at the idea, it's like, hey guys, this is what's going on. And then reimagining, using the hard times as a springboard to something greater versus, attempting to just keep a smile, right?
Yes.
So isn't it, adversity is such a wonderful thing, right?
Oh my God, that's when greatness comes. It comes from adversity. It comes out of crisis. It comes out of pain. If you are a solution maker, which most good businesses are, it comes from a problem. It comes from a pain point, and nothing could ever stay in vertical growth. That doesn't even make sense. So in a business, you have to have parts where there are some pain points, and that's when you evolve. And I think the difference between a company or any type of business that doesn't experience greatness or growth, they stay where they're at. They stay in that proverbial place where they feel stuck and they panic. And what I have always seen and what I've always been a part of is that's when the greatness appears. That's when vision takes life. When somebody steps up first and says, let's keep going. And I have only experienced that. It's my first network marketing company, so I can't speak or compare.
And you're only, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can only talk about what I've seen, and what I've seen is just that steadfastness of doing the right thing, always doing the right thing. And my parents taught me that from the time I was born, always do the right thing. And that integrity piece, which is missing in so many parts of our world today, it's like home to me. It's a place where I can always count on people. And that's why my belief is so unconditional. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Nobody.
Yeah. And again, the beauty of, and someone listening right now, if you're struggling in your own life, and I always say the results in your life never lie. They always give you immediate feedback. Either your bank has money in or it doesn't. Either your savings has money and it doesn't. Either when you look in the mirror and you're naked, you feel good about yourself or you don't. But results never lie. But, if you're stuck right now, then I really want you to sort of listen to this next part, but also look at that being your place of adversity. And that this is your chance. This is your chance to reinvent, your chance to sort of find a greater version of yourself, because, the very, very first key to transformation is awareness. And you're aware that you're stuck. And that is such a great starting point. Well, we've all been there. I mean, right?
Absolutely. When you were talking, that was so amazing what you just said. I hope people really take that in. Another thing my parents used to say was, without hardship, there can never be triumph. And so when people are stuck in any form or measure of their life, it is a sign for them to take that step forward, and there's no fear anymore. Sometimes it's a little more confusing when things are going well. And I always go back to that shift of, I am being prepared for something greater. And I encourage people, when they do feel that way, to just remind themselves that they are being prepared for something greater.
Wow. You're such, I'm loving this conversation. I mean, again, this whole show came about because I just wanted to have great conversations with people. And, and I just realized, how rich your language is. And I study language, and every word is so critical. And your parents have obviously instilled some beautiful language. And obviously, I think you've done the same with your own kids. But getting back to the belief, we understand that belief plays such a critical role. I always talk about the 6 areas of belief. Some people say 5: belief in the product, belief in the company, belief in the compensation plan, belief in the industry, which I think now we are in this time of COVID. I think a lot of people are waking up and saying, holy crap, I may have had a wrong impression of what network marketing is, because during this time, our people haven't missed a paycheck and their products are still landing on their door and they're building their business. I mean, we're actually experiencing momentum around the world. Sales are up everywhere because this is the time of transition, and we do so well in our profession. But then there's belief in self, which is the moving target. I always say, people have, I don't like to have a bad day, but I could have crazy moments. But in the old days, I use language like a bad day or a bad week. A guy said to me the other day, he said he had a bad year. And I stopped him. I said, tell me, how the hell do you have an entire year that's bad, right? So, but there's that belief in self, which can be a moving target. Good days, growing days. But then the 6th area I like to talk about is belief in self becoming a professional network marketer. And that's one that's easy, because you can make that decision in this moment when you listen to the quality of person you are, Cathy. If I'm sitting at home and I'm slightly stuck, I'm saying, hey, I can learn this profession, because we're going to share every secret and over all these shows. So there are no hidden secrets. But let's go back to belief. What do you notice with people coming in, with a lot of people who aren't doing well? What's going on with their belief systems?
Oh, God, I could write a book on self-limiting beliefs. I really could, having so much experience of coaching and being a professional coach to celebrities, athletes, regular women who are just trying to believe in themselves. And I feel like I've done a lot of clinical practice in the area just based on so many people I've seen. I can spot it a mile away. And it is always, to me, it always goes back to, there was some moment in their life, David, where someone or something told them that they weren't good enough. It could have been in high school. It could have been when they were a kid. It could have been in college or as a young adult. Somewhere in their life, someone questioned their value to them. And so what usually happens when someone comes into network marketing is they compare, and they see somebody doing very well, and they instantly put up that barrier of, I could never do that. And it's why I don't allow my team to use the words chicken list. It's why I don't have them think of people who are better than them. I always say that there's no such thing as a chicken list. No one is better than you. I don't care what they've done. It is so apparent that just as humans, we have those, unless we've done the work, and this is what I love so much about what you do, David, quite frankly, is you go there with people and your events go deep into someone's heart and it pulls them out, because we all have that belief system. But what has happened is we've let it be polluted by people who probably don't even matter to the long game. And so that's what I see. I go deep with my team and I see where those lack of belief systems are, and I pour in like never before, because that's what I learned.
Interesting, and I love that. And I love your awareness around it, because, I've trained over 1 million people, and I'm telling you, the number one thing around the world, regardless of the country or continent, is self-belief, self-love, how people talk to themselves. But here's the interesting thing. That thing that may have happened when they were a child, it could be an embarrassing moment at school. It could be what a bully said. It could be what the father or mother or grandmother said, all these different things that play a role. What happens is that may have only been said a few times. But then what happens, we start saying it to ourselves. And so we start to build these neural pathways in our brain, but we do it to ourselves, that little negative voice. And they say that over 70% of the thoughts we think are negative and repetitive. We say the same things based on these emotional points in our history, and we keep carrying it forward. And you can hear that little voice. And those of you who are listening right now saying, I don't have a little voice. That's the voice.
Yeah.
That's the voice we're talking about. But isn't that interesting that, it may have happened outside of our body, but then it continues to happen on the inside. And then that inside message where we build a new neural pathway will direct us for the rest of our lives, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing when people finally get to that point where they want to do the work. And this, when they finally say, and if they do the work, they can often pinpoint what that was, what that moment was, what that excuse was, what that negotiation is to why they're not doing well. And I always say that. I say, you're negotiating with me. Here is how you build this beautiful company. This business rather, in this company. Don't negotiate with me, because those negotiations are your limiting self-belief. Well, you were a fitness person. Well, I don't know anyone. And I always say that's a negotiation. You're limiting yourself before you even start. And, I always try to get to the story of limiting beliefs. I love doing that. And I make them repeat that story about 15 times, and they repeat it over and over to me. And when I'm ready, I say, are you done with your story? Are you sick of it? Let's get rid of it. And so we have our little ways of kind of getting rid of those stories that try to hold us back. But I truly believe that the people who are the most successful in this company and in the network marketing industry are the people who have gone through the work, gone through the process of working through those limitations and getting to the other side, and are willing to keep doing the work, as you always say.
Yeah, well, like you say, we're students. You said it right at the beginning of the call, right? Is that, you're continuing to grow and learn and expand. I find it fascinating because, this, again, I keep getting goosebumps with you, which is always a great sign for me. This idea about if you could give maybe a little bit more clarity, because if someone's listening at home and they really haven't started the work, and you made it sound, repeat a story 15 times, you're done with the story. Okay, let's replace it. Let's move on. Give us an example of a story and how that plays out. And so someone can follow along. So first of all, how do they capture their story? And then what with that, if they were to do an exercise, if we actually put them through an exercise right now and said, okay, as you hang up the call, we want you to sit and write out that story, the same one, that limited belief 15 times, right? So do you want to lead us through that as a process?
Yeah. I think it's like peeling an onion. And what I always try to ask people is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? And what I do is I break it down into certain areas. I'll say, how do you rate your health? Write me a sentence of your assessment of your health. And then I ask them about their career. I ask them about their money story. I ask them about their relationships, both friends and family. And through this one sentence, I can see where they're at, because everybody's journey is different. And what I find is more people will say, well, I don't want to, I haven't been able to lose the weight, or I can't make enough money. And so I see all that, and we really take it down so simply, David, with the growth versus the fixed mindset. And we look at, when I ask people that are initially, it's always a fixed mindset. I still can't lose the weight, so my health isn't good. My relationship with my spouse isn't the greatest. People are very honest and vulnerable when they only have one sentence to write and self-assess. And so what we do from that point is we say to ourselves, let's look at ourselves as a student and not make it so personal. What sentence can we change and stick with that? So that would look a little something like, my health isn't that great. I still have 20 pounds to lose. And together we would combine the way we feel, and we would come up with a sentence that would say, every day I get closer and closer to my goal. I am on a path to better health. And so while it sounds so trivial, those sentences are the foundations where people can take the next step, and then they have to believe it. And I believe that writing it is one thing, but acting upon it is another. So we come up with an assignment of talking about it, being a little more vulnerable about it. And when I go through those quadrants, I call them, those areas of their life where we find that self-belief, I usually end that series, if you will, with the most powerful 4 words in the dictionary, in language. And those 4 most powerful words that you can say to someone after that exercise is, I believe in you. Because a lot of times, and my dad used to always talk about this because he never had belief. He grew up an orphan. So he kind of went the opposite way and overdid it with love and parental guidance. And it started with him. And so I'm always reminded that it's my responsibility to remind people that I believe in them, because someone didn't say those words to them most likely. And that's my job as a leader, to pour belief into them that they can do anything. And so it's a series of steps, but it's a process, and you have to be open to it. And I think that being open to it is the first step.
Yeah. I always talk about the process of manifestation is like our thoughts lead to feelings, lead to action, lead to results. Results never lie. But where do the thoughts come from? Typically environment. And one of the environments that I don't talk about enough probably is the environment within our brain. And so, listening to language, that's why I'm always fascinated by the words you continue to use. And that's why I keep getting triggered, my little goosebumps here. Because
I love that I'm giving you goosebumps.
Yeah, I know, it's great. But it's just because your language is it's very deep and it's well thought out. And I think it's because you do this work and done this work with enough people, you understand that every word is important. And if we have a language like need, oh God, I need to go to work, right? Well, how are you going to feel? How's that thought going to play out? You're going to feel crappy going to work. And how are you going to work? You're going to do just enough, right? Your results, you're probably not going to get a promotion. You probably won't get a raise. You may even get fired. So the idea is I choose to go to work, even if it's a crappy job, just by navigating the language. And that's what I love about the quadrant work you just talked about, but navigating language and capturing it, because our language plays out in our results. And when we could start with the language, and when I do my one-on-one coaching, I invariably will start with people's language. And I don't do it the first call. I just listen and I start to write down. And I try, I won't say the word because I don't like the word try. Low energy word, need, try, hate, can't, all these words, right? So let's go back to you because I love this work. So you've got this work. You've got somebody now they've identified and they can see on a sheet where they're limiting themselves. How do you reinforce over time? Because it's a practice then. Once we're aware, awareness is key, but then we have to get in the practice. But because we've been in the habit for so long of doing the opposite, it's so easy to start down the road and week 1, oh yeah, and then suddenly life gets in the way. What's been your experience with, if we're going to work on a strong belief system, how do we do it consistently over time? What's some of the tips?
I think it's respect of reality to the person that you're working with. In other words, I never paint the rosy picture for people. I tell them how to negotiate or navigate around the things that are coming at them. I tell them they are in a pinball machine and things are coming at them. That is life. And life can be really hard. And there's going to be people who say no to you. And there's going to be people that doubt you. And I think this is where the people who do really well in network marketing understand community, and that to surround them with love and hold their hand along the way, because it isn't a switch that you turn on and off. It's a progression. It's taken me years to really show someone how valuable they are, because there was a lot of work that needed to be done. And so it is the obligation, in my opinion, as a leader, to walk alongside with someone every step of the way. So if they fall behind, I can wait for them and then keep walking with them. It's a journey. It's a journey, which is what I love so much about personal development. And you taught me most of it, to be honest with you, as it relates here, David. I've always said that I've learned so much from your work, because it's kind of a lighter approach than what I used to do when I used to coach athletes. It was a much harder approach, but this is more cerebral. And I think every single person is different, as you say, and you have to just walk alongside someone and say, I'm here for you. Now, I'm not going to fix it for you, but I'm here for you. And I think that's the first step into self-belief, knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah, you said so many things there that triggered me. First of all, thank you for the compliment. One of the things that came out of what you just said, which I think some people may miss, is, and I remember when I first met you, that tough kind of exterior, like you've softened because of the community and the fact that love is such a powerful force. However, it's really, really challenging to administer if we're not in love with ourselves. And so that's what I notice, is that sort of, you can't give from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. And so part of the journey is that sort of falling back in love with our imperfect self, that imperfection. And when we're in a culture or community like we are in, where we get the possibility to instill and pour love into people from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, some super successful, some really, hiding under a rock. But that importance of self-love, and then the ability to share that and to pour it into people. Talk about that. Is that the craziest? We talk about culture. This is going to sound so woo-woo, especially from two badasses who typically keep it real. But love is the kind of thing, right? It's the center of everything, right?
Oh, it's the centerpiece of the dinner of your life, the dinner table of your life, 100%. And it never goes away. It's the centerpiece. And everything else flows around that. I have never in my life witnessed, in 56 years of my life, I have never witnessed the kind of unconditional love and service and support that I have witnessed or experienced in my network marketing company. Because, coming from the fitness world, it's so different. It's cutthroat, it's narcissistic, it's very different. And what I have seen is that a really good owner of a company leads with love. It's all about love. It really is. And that doesn't mean that you only lead with your heart, but you lead with loving the people that you're aligned with. When both my parents passed away, it was the owners of the company that came to my aid. It was that beauty of people that weren't even financially linked to me that have now become my best friends. I would say love is really probably a really great definition of the way we do business.
Yeah. And sort of navigating those waters, because as we go back, and this is kind of a full circle, and we don't have too long left in the show, but when we look at the fact that so many people struggle with self-love, and it's the thing I deal with all over the world, is allowing people to see there's the conditioned mind and then the higher self, the real self, the person we were born to be versus who we've learned to be to survive in the world that we've grown up in. So, you know, that language that sort of gets embedded and what that gives us seeds of self-doubt, or, I mean, and you see people who have it, who appear to have it all together. You look at them from the outside, they got the house, the car, and yet they're unhappy inside. And I think that's where our community and our culture and this journey called network marketing, which is the part why because I could work in any stage in the world, anywhere, but the reason I'd rather be in a room full of brand new network marketers who are just starting out is because I know that each one of them will have the possibility to impact so many lives once they get in touch with that sort of inner belief, if that's where we're going back to. Because we don't have too long, what are some of the other things you'd like to share with someone who's listening to this? You may be waking them up slightly. They may have already done the chart and realize there are 4 there, a 5 there, a 6 there, an 8 there. What's your advice? Where do they go from here? What do we leave them with?
Oh gosh, there's so much to say. You know, the fact that this even exists is a true gift. And if you are that person who believes in service, believes in wanting to empower others, because that's what I hear. I want to empower people. This is the place where you can thrive and grow into something remarkable. This is something that you don't need degrees. You don't need to look a certain way. You just need to care about people. And right now in this moment of time, that's what it's about. We need to be caring about people. And what I love so much is this is set up to pay you, which represents how many people you care for. So you can't do well unless you help people. What other business can you be a part of? That's why I wake up inspired every single day, because my paycheck is representative of how many lives I have touched and my team has touched and the company has touched. When I see philanthropy at a level that is epic, when I see what can we do to serve others, it's the Jesuit motto, service to others. If you are that type of person who wants to think about what kind of impact you can make, this is the place. This is the place to start. This is the place where you are on equal footing. You don't have to know the boss. You don't have to stay late. You don't have to wake up early and check in. You just have to care about people. And I always say compassion is the new currency. And this is the place that if you are that heart-centered person, you are going to go far.
It's so funny because I always use the word kindness as a new currency. So and compassion and kindness are so close
Yes.
together, right?
Yes.
What about just belief, like in the 6 areas we talked about, you know, what's your advice for someone who, you know, is entering, they see that they want to contribute, they want to give service to people, they want to build freedom for themselves or choice for themselves. What's your advice about navigating these 6 areas of belief that can really be instrumental? Because I mean, if you don't believe in what you're doing, there is that sort of non-conscious kind of ickiness. So here you are, you're talking to someone about, you know, your company, but deep down inside, you don't believe in the profession of network marketing. And I think that's where often we can get a bad name because people are out there who don't believe and they're trying to say, well, if it works, I'll believe. But, you know, do you know what I'm saying? You know,
yes. Yeah, I mean, it is a leap of faith in many ways. And, you know, when you are looking at things differently, I will say this, that when I first came here, I realized that I was kind of judgmental, and I was kind of surrounding myself with things that were, even though I had done really great things, there were some people in my life that probably weren't the best role models for me. And it was probably a nature of being in the fitness world. And I will say that in each area, find a role model, find an accountability partner who you want to aspire to be. Because I think modeling is such a powerful, powerful thing that someone who is really kind of down on themselves, they can look for inspiration. So I've always done that in my life. I've always looked for a role model that I could aspire to be, that I could relate to be. And I think that's the first step in trying to kind of convince yourself that all things are possible. And you have so many examples of people who have done it, been there, seen it. I think it's a wonderful place to start in the areas of health, and that's when you have transformation. So if you are down on your luck on, I'll never look this way, look for transformations, for inspiration. Money stories, look for someone who had nothing, went from zero to hero, read about them, immerse yourself and surround yourself with people who have done it, because that's your touchstone. And we all need that touchstone to make it real.
And they're so available. It's so funny because I just
everywhere.
I just did a 2-day training for Australia, and I had Jen Patch on. Again, some of you may not know who I'm talking about, but she's a number one income earner in a country. But you know, she was talking about how she went to a 2-day program, and part of the program she had to use a name tag of someone she respected that she held in such high esteem, and then for the whole 2 days behave like that person. And so she chose she chose Susan Sly. So during that, and before then, she didn't have a big voice. She didn't allow her voice out. And during that, she kept coming back to, well, what would Susan do in this moment? And she started behaving. She said after those 2 days, she sort of discovered something inside of her that said, hey, it was there. And she just found a way. So I love the modeling aspect. So last thing I'm going to ask you before we go, and again, we're going to do another show together, which I'm excited about, and we'll talk about leadership, because I know that's another one of your big passions. But daily rituals. I always say, you know, what are some of the great daily rituals that you may have or some of your team have? If we're talking about, hey, building belief, or, you know, changing the conversation in their head, you know, all of those things, filling the cup. What are some of the daily rituals that you either use or you've used with your students to create, you know, that greater belief in themselves?
I believe in rituals are everything. I believe that your feet should not hit the ground until you say your affirmation. And that affirmation can change. Mine is, every day I'm going to get a little bit better. And I say that every day before I leave my bed. I do a prayer to St. Jude, because that is all about healing. And I do that more often these days because of the experiences we're all going through in this crisis. Those are 2 rituals that I have to start my day. But I think rituals are everything, because especially now. And now's a really good time to create new ones, actually, because we are living differently. And if we're trying to shove our old routine into our new way of life that's happening right now, that's when we can get frustrated. So I encourage people to start with new rituals. Maybe it's lavender on your wrists. Maybe it is not looking at your phone. But these rituals become a new routine. And moving every day, sweating every day, thinking affirmations. Who can I reach out to every day? Every single day, it's like Groundhog Day, but it becomes a ritual, and it has to be a positive one. And sending light to people that are hurting, philanthropy, service, these are all part of my daily rituals. I do something for someone else every single day, and my kids do as well.
And you build that. I mean, there's a part of the brain called the RAS, the reticular activating system. Once you start ingraining a ritual, like if you want to help people, and that's how I love using money in the moment to help people. So I'm constantly aware of what's going on around me. I see opportunities every single minute, every single day. And even here, you know, because obviously during this time I'm not out, but I know all the people that have helped me, who cut my hair, who my gym trainer. I know that they're not getting paid right now. So I can help them by paying them as if they're having the service done, right? We always have that chance. With that being said, I'm so excited. I'm sure we're going to do many of these, because this has been so rich, and I'd love to think about having you on with one of your friends or one of your mentors, and just have another deeper conversation about other things. But I want to remind you, the show's called My Extra Mile because it's about those little incremental steps. It's not about eating a whole elephant. It's about taking one little bite. So, I love to go on the 1% rule. If we go a little 1% improvement each and every day, that is a massive amount of improvement over 1 year. So just, again, starting right now, what's that little 1%? What's that incremental step that you can take to take your extra mile? Thank you, Cathy.